Today, we step into the suffocating humidity of the British Raj, back to a time when the sun never set on the empire and when colonial greed clashed violently with ancient spiritual forces. We are searching for an artifact that defied the might of the British Army, a heavy ancient casket that seemed to kill every soldier who dared to touch it. This is the story of the Cursed Casket of Barrackpore and the horror it unleashed in 1878. Grab your coffee. We are diving into a mystery rooted in imperial arrogance, ritualistic protection, and the terrifying possibility that some secrets are meant to remain buried. The tale begins in the military outpost of Barrackpore, near Calcutta, India, in the late 19th century. The year is 1878. The British presence was firm, their superiority unquestioned. But their ambition knew no bounds. An intelligence report reached the local detachment commander regarding a small, forgotten temple deep within a remote area that housed an object of extraordinary spiritual and possible material value, a heavy, ornate casket rumored to contain a relic of immense sacred power. Driven by a mix of curiosity, arrogance, and the simple desire for plunder, a small British Army detachment was dispatched to secure the relic. They faced no resistance from the local population, only silent, mournful protest and dire warnings that the casket was not merely protected by locks, but by a divine living force. These warnings, of course, were dismissed as local superstition by the pragmatic, scientifically minded officers. The casket was recovered with relative ease. It was an exceptionally heavy, thick-walled object, reportedly made of gold-plated bronze and sealed shut with an unknown, intricate mechanism. The soldiers, triumphant, secured it and began their journey back to the main barracks in Barrackpore. The moment the casket was loaded onto the military cart, the cascade of horrors began. The first victim was the sergeant major, who personally supervised the loading. Before the team even reached the main road, the sergeant major was thrown from his horse without cause, sustaining injuries that led to his death 3 days later in agonizing pain. The official report cited a tragic riding accident, but the men who witnessed the fall spoke of the horse suddenly bolting, seemingly terrified by something unseen. Once the casket arrived at the Barrackpore base, it was sealed in the secure armory. The subsequent incidents, however, defied coincidence. Within weeks, the small detail of 6 men who had physically carried the casket began to suffer. One developed a sudden, rapidly advancing fever that killed him in less than 12 hours. Another was found dead in his bunk, having apparently suffered a spontaneous brain hemorrhage. A third soldier, previously healthy and jovial, committed suicide in a violent, unexplained fit of madness. The base physician noted the strange, almost panicked frenzy that preceded the death, something he had never witnessed before. The commanding officer, Colonel Hesketh, a man with a reputation for iron control, tried desperately to suppress the mounting panic. But the pattern was undeniable. Anyone who had direct contact with the golden casket was marked for disaster. The number of accidents climbed rapidly. The worst incident occurred when the building housing the main barracks suddenly and completely collapsed during the night. The investigation found no structural fault, no sabotage, and no seismic activity. It simply fell, taking with it several men who had recently been involved in moving the relic. The men who had previously dismissed the local warnings now whispered the truth. The casket was actively killing them. The British military machine, facing a threat it could not fight with rifles or strategy, was forced into a desperate retreat. The casket was officially declared a source of infectious disease and ordered to be moved out of the main camp and placed in a remote, temporary storage facility, a solitary shed far from the main barracks. Even the laborers assigned to build the shed demanded double pay and protective rituals before they would approach the area. The cover-up had begun. The legend of the cursed casket was born, sustained by fear and silence. What was inside this object that caused such terror? The casket was never officially opened by the British authorities, who feared that disturbing the contents would unleash a force even greater than the mysterious deaths already suffered. This vacuum of information allowed two main theories to take hold. Theory 1. The true curse and sacred protection. This theory suggests the local warnings were entirely accurate. The casket contained a relic, perhaps a deity statue or a sacred text, protected by a legitimate, powerful spiritual entity. The entity was not merely guarding the treasure, but actively seeking retribution for the sacrilege committed by the invaders. The deaths were not random, they were targeted acts of metaphysical justice. This theory is supported by the highly specific nature of the victims, those who handled the casket, and the bizarre psychological collapse seen in those who went mad before dying. The chaos was intelligent, not accidental. Theory 2. The ancient chemical or biological weapon. A more modern rationalist theory posits that the local temple was not protecting a god, but a deadly toxic substance or ancient biological agent. The casket, being old and possibly cracked, could have slowly leaked a volatile poison or gas, such as arsenic fumes or an early form of a debilitating neurotoxin. The heat and humidity of India would have accelerated its release. The collapse of the barracks building might have been a tragic coincidence, or perhaps even a final, massive release of gas triggered by structural stress caused by the initial minor explosions or fires at the base. This theory explains the fevers and sudden deaths, but fails to account for the highly personalized acts of suicide and madness. Ultimately, the British military could not destroy the casket, nor could they keep it. It was too dangerous to transport back to England and too cursed to remain on base. Historical accounts are conflicting on its final fate. Some sources claim it was hastily buried under a deep, unmarked section of the Barrackpore cemetery, while others suggest it was secretly shipped far away and deliberately lost at sea. Regardless, it vanished from official record. The Cursed Casket of Barrackpore stands as one of the great forgotten historical horrors of the British Empire. It is a terrifying testament to what happens when material ambition crosses a boundary it cannot comprehend, and a chilling reminder that sometimes the true source of death and disaster is not found in a grand battle, but in a small, silent, heavy object taken from a dark room. Tell us in the comments, do you believe the casket held a living curse, or a deadly biological secret placed there centuries ago? Keep questioning everything.